Okay, so as I said in my monologue, the company I'm really excited about is called 168. This is a company where I've joined the executive management team. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to share this with you. So, um, obviously, as I said earlier, 168's product or market segment is medical marijuana, or legalized marijuana, if you want to call it that as well, in the United States. So, this is a new kind of business model that 168 is applying that I've never seen before. So it combines investment banking, or in other words, selling a stock with multi-level marketing. In other words, for everybody you tell, you get a referral bonus, let's call it that, and direct sales. Doesn't matter how many levels you go down. It's not like you're a pure multi-level marketing company because you get commissions by selling the product as well. And another element which I really like is all the transactions are done in Bitcoin. And we'll talk about that later, but Bitcoin's a very exciting marketplace in itself. So let's start at the beginning. So in November 2016, voters in California, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Maine chose to legalize recreational marijuana. So recreational marijuana would be the same as recreational alcohol or cigarettes. It's not against the law to smoke it or consume it, and it's not for medical purposes. In Florida, Arkansas, Montana, Dakota, ballot measures passed allowing pot or marijuana to be used for medical purposes. So probably all aware that states like California have had dispensaries for many years and have all you need is a medical marijuana card and you can go buy marijuana. But now it's been legalized for the most part in many states for recreational medical marijuana use and another category which I'll call the herbal supplement market. And it's created a $70 billion boom market. It's being encouraged by state and federal government. So the state and federal government are not only excited because they're able to decriminalize something that should have been decriminalized a long time ago, but make tax revenue from it. So currently, this is sort of what it looks like. So the states in dark green: California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts have decriminalized marijuana, and it's not even as serious as getting a parking ticket. There is no penalty anymore. This is sort of what it looks like from a market standpoint. 86% of Americans who live in a state that allows some degree of legal marijuana use. So medical would be for where you buy it from a dispensary because the doctor is giving you a medical marijuana card. It could be to relieve pain, nausea that might be associated with chemotherapy treatment. And there's a whole list of reasons why a doctor can prescribe medical marijuana. Now, adult use and medical, that's this color here, means that it's approved for recreational as well as medical marijuana. So you don't have to even be sick. You can just like to smoke it instead of drinking alcohol, in other words. CBD is just a chemical or compound found in marijuana, we'll talk about later, that is not psychoactive but does have some really phenomenal applications in the medical marijuana and the herbal supplement market segments. And we'll talk about that later. So it's a fact. This might be surprising, but in Oregon, they have more medical marijuana dispensaries than Starbucks or McDonald's. If you think I'm kidding, check it out. Okay. So that leads directly to the article that I'm referring to. This state has more medical marijuana shops than Starbucks or McDonald's. So, obviously it's popular. So, I did some market research and here's what I came up with. This is what the financial community is predicting we should expect from in respect to growth numbers from now we're in 2018, from 2018 to 2025. Light green represents medical marijuana and the dark green represents recreational. As you can see, recreational is a huge part of the market and we will be covering that as well. So by 2025, it's expected to have hit 24.7 billion annual. So this is sort of as a crop, just as from a farmer's perspective. Here's why a farmer would be excited. Let's say you're in California where a lot of marijuana is grown already. You grow grapes instead to make wine. California is also where most American wines come from. And if you had a vineyard, you could expect per acre. And if you're in a country where they don't have acres, it's hectares and it's metric. An acre is like half a hectare. So half a hectare or 1 acre of land on a good day produces, or a good year, I should say, produces, will yield $8,500. If it's a vegetable like a zucchini, you can expect it to yield that 1 acre to yield $24,000 per crop per year. So marijuana, however, you can number one grow 3 crops or 4 crops in 1 year, and each acre produces $8,200,000 worth of raw material. That's pretty exciting. It's probably the biggest cash crop in the world, or most profitable cash crop in the world. So there's also a broad customer base. There's many areas, many market segments, if you will, where that are growing like mad. So they've got dispensaries, they've got the recreational marijuana shops where the recreational use is permitted. Here you can see some packaging for what I would call the high-end market. So just as in the winemaking business, some people just want a $10 bottle of table wine, and other people will spend $300 on a French Cabernet. We've got the same thing in the marijuana, legalized marijuana market space. So this is an example here of this one's called Fruity Pebbles, and it's $1,000 an ounce. So I guess the same person who would spend $300 on a bottle of wine would buy this. We also have medical marijuana doctors in the states where it's permitted, and they actually have a special license, and some of them only practice medical marijuana. And then the scientific community, of course, has a huge interest in it now, especially since they've discovered all the different applications in medicine that marijuana has. And we'll go into more detail about this further on in the presentation. So this is sort of what the retail market looks like. These are real stores. They're probably in California or Oregon. Looks like that's in Oregon from the phone number, and this is California. I can tell from the phone number. So there's only 10,000 retail marijuana stores in the United States versus 42,000, call it 43,000 wine and beer and state liquor stores in the U.S. So any town or city that has a liquor store will also probably have a retail store that sells marijuana, guaranteed. It would be unimaginable to live in a town in the United States that didn't have a bar or a state store where you can buy liquor. So marijuana with respect to recreational use falls in the same category. So the demand for both recreational and medical marijuana are higher than ever. And state and federal laws that prohibited its cultivation in the past and distribution and use are being repealed and replaced with laws that promote the business and the jobs and taxes, I should say, that it creates, and allow consumers the freedom of choice. So here's a marketplace that most don't identify, but it's a little different than medical marijuana, called the dietary supplements market segment. So that would include herbal remedies, vitamins, protein powders if you work out, those kinds of things. So the same sorts of regulations would apply to this marketplace. And what we're talking about here is that, and again, I'm going to go over this later in the presentation, but besides THC, which is the psychoactive component that gives people, I guess, a high, there are hundreds of other compounds that do not have a psychoactive effect that and may have a medicinal or medical purpose that doesn't require very much regulation, or it's not illegal, I should say. So CBD is one of those compounds, and CBD, again, is not a psychoactive compound, but it's been found to eliminate seizures and is even approved for use with children in some states who have severe seizure disorders. There's a good segment that CNN did that I'll point out a little later on, where they follow a couple of children who have this severe seizure disorders where they're having 300 seizures a day. And CBD, all other drugs in the pharmaceutical realm failed, but CBD cured these children and gave them a new shot at life. So this is just a sort of a wheel diagram that shows some of the chemicals and what properties they have and how they would, what symptoms they alleviate. And believe it or not, these little bottles here go for $120. Very profitable. So again, here's a chart. There's 483 compounds in marijuana, one of which is THC. THC is the psychoactive compound that produces a high, just like alcohol does with wine or liquor. Now, these other chemicals here are not psychoactive, but they have effects. They have properties that give benefits such as analgesic, pain-killing properties, anti-inflammatory, anoretic, appetite stimulants, and the list goes on. So a lot of these would fit either into medical marijuana or the unregulated realm of just herbal supplements. So awareness is pretty high right now. So this marketplace exists. It always existed. It just people kept it a secret because producing it was illegal, even in states where using it wasn't. So now Wall Street's excited. All of the major financial and the financial and I guess university press publications are very excited about it and have released many articles that support why we would even want to be involved. So the Huffington Post, and I'll just show you, these all lead somewhere, but let's see Harvard Health publication. This is, I guess, part of the Harvard Business Review. So all those icons lead to real articles where either it's the scientific community that's excited or the financial community. So we've got the Time Magazine, MSNBC, the Huffington Post, and what we just looked at, Harvard Health publication, which is like the Harvard Business Review, but for medicine, Reuters, Live Science. So, and there are hundreds of other articles. So how is it consumed? Well, we all know that you can smoke it. There's Morgan Freeman. He's been saying for years how much he loves marijuana. And we all know the old-time hippie smoking it from a bong. But what a lot of us don't know is that it can be vaped. They even have lines of soft drinks that are psychoactive and use marijuana as the psychoactive component. CBD we went over. This is the herbal supplement or unregulated non-psychoactive chemicals, and these are those bottles I was telling you about that go for $120 a piece. And here we have a pharmaceutical. I believe this is coming out of Israel. I don't think any are approved in the United States right now, but this is what we can expect in the future. Real pharmaceuticals coming from big pharma. So the competition, we've got to talk about that if we're talking about going into business anywhere. Well, the guy who grew it for 20 years when it was illegal and smoked it and never talked about it, and now big business. And who's going to win in this competition? Well, hopefully both parties, but I suspect that most people don't care about the young hippie, and they do care about the bottom line. And it's all about the numbers, not about the people. We'd like to see a blend of the two, to be honest. So, as an opportunity for the regular person who wants to make money and have a safe investment that doesn't cost $1 million to get into, well, here's what this looks like. It's a product that regular people can understand. It's pretty obvious. People in America, at least, love marijuana, whether it's medical marijuana or recreational, and that's never going to change. It's a market that doesn't require financial expertise to understand. So this isn't like some molecule that was invented by a pharmaceutical company or a tech stock or who knows what it is. It's some application. They say it's great, but I don't understand it because I'm not a techie. It's not like that. Again, it's very easy to understand. It's a high growth market based on an agricultural product that just has awesome potential in an existing marketplace. And it's an investment that's easy to evaluate. and that you don't have to be rich to take advantage of. And the key word is most investments, by the time you hear about it, everybody's already gotten rich, and your turn is, well, that ship has already sailed for you. But this is an opportunity to get in on the ground floor for as little as $200 USD. And with a little dedication and hard work, you can make a small fortune. I'm going to show you how. Now, for those of you who want to make a large fortune or a huge fortune, we have profit sharing and ownership options to go all the way up to all the way up to $25,000 USD. But let's just take it slow and start from the beginning. So let me tell you a little bit about the company. The founder is a guy named Rene Ortiz, and Rene holds a master's degree in horticultural science. And for 19 years, he was a supplier to dispensaries. And the odd thing about this marketplace is it does exist, but in the past, these dispensaries, it was legal to dispense marijuana. It was legal to consume it, but growing it was illegal. So don't ask me how that worked out for 20 years, but the suppliers had to grow in secret illegally and supply it to people who could sell it legally. So for 19 years, Mr. Ortiz was a believer in the healing properties of marijuana, not just for using it as a recreational high. He realized that in the future, when it was legalized, that many other industries would come from it. And he'd been thinking of that and preparing for it for 19 years. So what is our objective now? It's just to cultivate and distribute the finest marijuana to the pharmaceutical industry and retail consumers who will in turn enrich investors, that be you. So the business model, at a simple level, it just combines agricultural know-how with the investment banking model. In other words, turning this into a stock where people can invest in it, and the stock will elevate in price, and the people who got in early will make a lot of money. So here's what the company looks like from that perspective. From the investment banking perspective, we're going to issue shares. We have issued shares. 110 million of those shares will be common shares. 50 million of them will be preferred shares, and 40 million will be reserve shares. And reserve shares are what they use to incent executives with bonuses and stuff, and they can't sell them at the drop of a hat like you can, because that would upset the marketplace, and it would cloud their judgment and probably could be called insider trading. So there's reserve shares. So it's not like reserved mine. No, actually, these are there's a lot of rules about when you can and can't sell. Common shares are just what people have shares. They can buy them, sell them whenever they want to. So how are we going to do this? The product that you will be selling and investing in will be stock, and it will be provided in the form of a convertible bond. And I'll explain what the difference is a little later, but you'll be issued an official document that shows that you own a portion or have the right to own a portion of our company and buy it and sell it as you please. Here's the roadmap. Now here's you right now. We just started this in 2017, and the response has been overwhelming. But we are really just at this level right now, where the shares can be had for 25 cents each. Now, in the form of a convertible bond. Now, for every 10 million shares that we sell, the price will go up, as you see here, until it reaches $5. So you're getting in here. So you're in early, and you have a chance to make a lot of money. So what does it look like? Here are the packages. So we just call this the fun package. If you just want to try it to have fun, and in the multi-level marketing part of the business model, you get to socialize, and there are many people who are into that business model. They sell Amway or Herbalife, and they like the social component as well as the wealth component. So if you just want to have fun and join in, for $200 USD, you'll be issued. You'll have a certificate that gives you the right to convert to 800 common shares. And this we'll talk about later, but you also are going to receive commissions. Unlike a multi-level marketing company where you have to achieve all these different levels and warehouse product like Herbalife does, you don't have to do any of that. There's no warehousing products. You don't have to open a store or sell. All you have to do is sell your friends on the idea that this is a great opportunity to become wealthy. So so each package will cost, has a different price and correlates to a different number of shares. So at the master level, you can see receive 100,000 shares. And these I'll get into later. This is commission volume, and this determines how much commission you can make. So what does it look like? Well, you would at let's call it the $1,000 level. If you put in $1,000, then you'll receive a weekly bonus, or call it interest, on your contribution on the options that you purchase. So if we're at 200, it starts at 1%. So at $200 in 100 weeks, after receiving $2 a week as a bonus, basically we pay you your investment back to you. So that $200 is back in your hands again. At $1,000, you'll receive 1.4% of that every week, and you actually receive back more money than you put in. So you would receive $1,400, and so on and so on. Now I have a more detailed version of that here, where it's easier to analyze. So at the end of 100 weeks, this is sort of what this is just the investment portion. I'm going to go over the multi-level marketing and direct sales component right after this. So if you put in $200, 100 weeks later, you will have your $200 back. You will still own the right to 800 common shares, and they will be worth $5 a piece, which means that for a $200 investment, you receive your $200 back, and you have 800 shares that at this point are worth $4,000 USD. Now, if you go down here, because this again is at a 3% rate, if I go back to the bigger the package, the higher the return on the bond. So this bond here would return 3%. So $25,000 would become $75,000 that you would get back, 3 times your investment. Plus you have 100,000 common shares worth $5, which would be $500,000. Now you'll be given a choice. You will, like we said here, receive your investment back, 1-fold to 3-fold, depending on what package. But in addition, you'll have the option to sell us back if you don't want your shares. The idea here is we're going to IPO in the stock market. So if you don't want your shares and you don't want to go public, we'll take them back and we'll buy them from you. Or you can keep them. And here's what that would look like. And here's where you can, if you're really interested in an opportunity to get wealthy, not take a lot of risk, and have some fun, let me show you what it looks like. So again, I'm going to compare this to the Herbalife model. And those people don't own any stock, they just work for Herbalife. But let's just assume that your stock is Herbalife and that all the people who work for Herbalife got that stock. And again, I've never seen an MLM who actually gives you stock when you just buy a small package and join the club. But in this case, here's what it looks like. If I bought the fun pack all the way through, if I bought the masters. So like I said, this will explain everything that I just showed you. And if you kept it, here's Herbalife down here. Just if we were to measure ourselves against Herbalife, actually we've got the real herb. They're just selling herbs for way more, for triple what they would actually cost at the grocery store, and somehow they managed to build a company. Analysts are predicting that stocks like this will IPO at around $8. So the common shares will be worth $5. When an initial public offering is made, they'll probably hit the market at $8 a share. So Herbalife hit the market at $7.35, and it's now worth $80 a share. Now, Herbalife is only worth $8 billion. Well, $8 billion is a lot. I shouldn't say only. $8 billion. Wow. But what we will have accomplished after just a few years, and actually we're going to, we intend to make an initial public offering in 2019. And if we follow the same trajectory as Herbalife, we would be worth here post-IPO at $80 a share. We'd be worth $16 billion. So that's like double the size of Herbalife. Here's what we would have collected in investment capital. Now this is the money when you buy the shares and your friends buy the shares, at those different levels that go from 25 cents all the way up to $5. Once we have sold all of our common shares, as we go, we will have collected $180 million, which we're going to invest in property, licensing, regulatory, lawyers, facilities, excuse me, and so on. So we will have had a lot of money at our disposal to grow and build a real company. So when it IPOs, it'll IPO with assets worth almost $200 million. Excuse me. So once the stock hits the market and people buy it based on its P&E and its potential, future growth, that's what drives this number here. And this number here does include the other stock as well. So that will be assets that we leverage to continue to grow the business. So we can talk more about the finer points of IPOs and going public, but later on. But in this model, if it were to follow the same trajectory as Herbalife, for a $200 investment, a couple of years later, 3 or 4 years later, let's say after 2 years, in 2 years we'll do the IPO. In another 2 years, let's say the stock's worth $80 a share. Well, your return on $200, and you got the $200 back, will be $64,000. If you got in at $25,000 and had $100,000 shares, you've already got $75,000 back. And if you held onto the shares in IPO, you'd get $8 million back. So we're allowing full participation in the business model, not just commissions, but full ownership and the full benefit of being a shareholder. So that's why I'm excited. So how do we get that done? How do we get there? It's pretty easy. This is where the multi-level marketing and direct sales model come together. So we really want people, the word of mouth is probably the least expensive and most effective way to bring a product to market. Now, if you have a really good product, it's not difficult and it's easy to understand. You don't have to hire all the lawyers and experts and advertising executives and firms to convince people that they need something. Actually, people not only need this, they already want it and already buy it. So the question is, who's going to grab the most market share and how fast? So we think the fastest go-to-market strategy is to work with regular people like you who want to make an investment, who want to make money, and haven't had that opportunity before. Because most of the time, opportunities like this are not shared with people like us. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. It's not fair. But this is the most effective way for us to come to market is to let you tell your friends to invest in it and tell your friends who tell their friends who tell their friends. And that's the quickest way for us to reach our goal. So again, the fun pack, here's the direct sales commission component. So fun pack is $200. You receive 100 points. Let's call it a point system. And you receive a 15% commission immediately. Doesn't depend on legs or the multi-marketing level, multi-level marketing component. If you sell something, you earn a commission. So for the $200 package, you get a $15 commission. For the $25,000 pack, you get an $1,850 commission paid immediately. So this isn't based on whether you have one leg or two legs or 12 levers or 2 levels. This is just a direct sales model where you get a commission immediately. So that'll help you pay the bills. It's almost like having a job, owning stock, and being able to work in MLM at the same time without getting fired for not going to work. So this is the pure, multi-level marketing component. Or I should say, this is a blend of the two, multi-level marketing and of direct sales. So there are different percentages on, and this is the what do you call it? So in multi-level marketing, they have a lesser leg and a greater leg. So you always get paid on the smaller leg, and that's supposed to keep you motivated to sell, to turn more people onto the program and participate. So the percentage that you would receive if you enter in at this level is 8%. If you enter in at this level, 20% on your lesser leg. It just requires one direct sponsor on each leg. And the payout is the next day. So you have a daily max. So on this, you can't receive more than $200 a day. On this, in the multi-level marketing, but the immediate payout portion, you can't receive more than 1,000 a day. And then the cap here is 10,000 a day. All right? Right. Yeah, but on both of these, 10,000 a day. So we also receive uni-level bonuses. So this bonus goes down 12 levels, and it's 50% per account on your greater leg, I believe. So it just requires one direct sponsor on each leg. So you can see this is the typical multi-level marketing model, and it's just showing level 1, level 2. When you get to level 12, where this person and this person and this person have referred people, that's when the numbers become mind-boggling and you make a lot of money. So to participate in this end of it, if you intend to really recruit and dedicate yourself to this, it'd be silly not to do. It's not a way to make a lot of money in addition to your commissions, and it requires a $10 monthly account maintenance. So if you find yourself being heavily involved in this, and you want to be able to track. It comes with a software application where you can track your participation down to the 12th level, and you can monitor your payouts and so on. Now, here's the part I really like. All transactions will be done in Bitcoin. There's 2 reasons why I love this. Number one, if you live in a country, I know in some of the Asian countries, it's really hard to get your money out of the country in the first place. So, especially if it's a large sum like $1 million. But if you make a small investment out and bring it outside of the country through just an internet account, and it grows to $1 million, $10 million, it's not within the global financial system. It's within the cryptocurrency distributed ledger system, which I'm not going to go into great detail, but I'll just show you why you should be excited about it. It's outside of the global banking system, that they don't like what you're doing and they want to take your money away or tax it. They can do whatever they want. You have no control over it. So with Bitcoin, no matter what country you live in, you don't have to worry about an oppressive government taking your money away. And here's why I like Bitcoin. 10 years ago, the first Bitcoin was enough to buy one pizza. Now, one Bitcoin is worth $10,280. So happens to be very popular, not just in the United States, but globally. And it's a currency that's on the rise. And as a fiat, if it became a fiat currency, as a fiat currency, it would replace the dollar, obviously, because it's worth 10,280 times more than a US dollar. So again, not a lot of regulations. No one's going to steal your money, especially the government, if you're participating using this financial system. And you stand a chance of also your $1 million might become $10 million just because it's in Bitcoin as well. So it's really got 2 advantages. So back to the show. So we really want to get this thing started off quickly, and we want to raise as much cash as possible, as fast as possible. So we've also added on some bonuses. So, when you're the top salesperson at a corporation, sometimes they give you trips, cars, bonus, as a bonus for being number 1. So we're going to have the same thing in our system. We do have the same thing, I should say. So on the binary side, if you recruit a lot, and this is a bonus for recruiting a lot of people. If you get out there and tell a lot of people, and you're going to receive a binary bonus. It's less based on sales volume than it is word of mouth and market acceptance, helping us gain market acceptance globally. So if you receive a $5,000 USD binary bonus in the first 30 days, we're also going to give you an iPhone. If that's not exciting enough, well, if you're really involved and you're one of the top salespeople in the world, well, if you bring in a $30,000, this means if you receive $30,000 3 months in a row, you've got $90,000. But in addition, for being a for being a big contributor and a leader, we want you to have something that is befitting your dedication, and we're willing to give you a BMW. Now, if you're super awesome at sales and you're in the top 1%, well, then you have the opportunity to be awarded the Audi bonus, which if you receive $60,000 USD in binary bonus per month in four consecutive months, you'll also receive a Audi worth $120,000 USD. Or I'll give you the money if you don't want the car. Then we'll give you the money instead. Now, if you really dedicate yourself and you make this your passion, you make it your life, which I hope you do, because opportunities like this are very rare. If you receive an $80,000 binary bonus every month and for 9 consecutive months, we'll get you an EB5 excuse me, visa, or we'll give you $500,000, whichever you want. Excuse me, whichever one you want. So now here's the top bonus that we had. So for the number one guy in the world, or girl, I should say, or businesswoman, if you receive a $100,000 USD binary bonus in 12 consecutive months, you'll receive an EB5 and $500,000. So that'll give you the right to live in the United States, be a citizen, and most of the citizens here don't have $500,000, and be rich. Or if you don't want the EB5, we'll just give you $1 million bonus. So here we have just an example of what's already going on now. There are lots of medical marijuana conventions. Everybody loves it. The stock market's excited. The financial community is excited about it. The agricultural community is excited about it, and the medical community and scientists are also very excited. And this is just an example of one of them. And so it just goes to show, here they are showing that, this is an agricultural convention where they're showing people, why grow grapes when you can grow marijuana and get $8,200,000 an acre instead of 8,000. So that's it. Now, I'm sure you may have questions after this, and that's why we want you to come to one of our conventions. When we come to your city, we come to your town, which we will be, or just arranging conference calls with large groups of people who want to know more about this. That'll be the time I'll answer any questions, or we will answer any questions you might have. But I hope you're as excited as I am about this, because, I don't think the world's fair. And I think that people who aren't rich do not get very many real opportunities to become rich. And I don't like that. I won't tell you how much money I make, but I worked really hard and I'm one of the lucky ones. And I know a lot of people who worked harder than I do, though. They're still not rich, and they still don't have a big house, or they can't send their kids to Harvard, Princeton, or Yale. So what excites me most about this opportunity is, I'm not going to lie, I love money. I expect to make a lot of money on this myself, but I'm really excited to see you guys make money. And I really believe this is an opportunity for the average person, no matter what country you live in, with a modicum of effort, to become rich. And it's on a level playing field that's fair, and you get to do it in Bitcoin. So no matter where you live, they can't take your money away from you. So with that, I really hope to see you soon at one of the conventions or one of our big conference calls. Thanks for listening. Please tell me that. Oh shit. You gotta be fucking kidding. Where is it running, damn it? How do I know where it's running?